Hi, my name is Brian Adler. I'm an architect in the professional services organization here at RightScale. In that role, I talk to a lot of customers that are bringing applications into the private cloud. Here are some of the common questions that we get asked. Question 1, what are the benefits of the private cloud? Before we discuss the benefits of the private cloud, it probably makes sense to define a few terms that we're going to use throughout the course of our discussion. Private clouds, and hybrid clouds for that matter, mean different things to different people. And from our standpoint, a private cloud is a single tenant cloud infrastructure that resides behind a single API endpoint or a cloud management server or cloud controller, as you will. Now, those resources are typically on-premise, although they might be in a hosted environment or even a co-location facility. And they're typically owned by the organization, but they might be leased, and they're comprised of things like legacy hardware, commodity hardware, and even new equipment. Now, some of the benefits of that private cloud infrastructure is that with that stricter access control to the physical environment, and therefore the virtual machines that reside therein, applications that have strict security compliance are much more apt to be able to run in that private cloud. You can also tailor your private cloud to the application workloads that you want to run in that private cloud. For example, if you have a very CPU-intensive application, you can populate your resource pools with hardware that's appropriate to that task. And similarly, if I/O operations per second are of the utmost concern, I should say, for your particular application, you can purchase high-end storage subsystems and SSD drives and things along those lines to give you that highest I/O bandwidth. So basically, the ability to touch and feel the physical infrastructure that's part of your private cloud opens up a set of possibilities that might not be possible in the public cloud, at least not cost effectively. Question 2, how do hybrid clouds compare to private clouds? A hybrid cloud is an infrastructure that incorporates one or more private cloud resource pools and one or more public cloud resource pools. The most common environment that we see is a single private cloud resource pool and a single public cloud resource pool, all managed by RightScale. Now, one of the main benefits of a hybrid cloud environment is it allows for workloads to be developed and tested in a more controlled proving ground type environment and then rolled out into a different cloud resource pool when it comes time to go to production. We see some of our customers moving entire application workloads from the public cloud to the private cloud or from the private cloud to the public cloud when cost and capacity demands dictate. Question 3, what are the key components of a private cloud? There are essentially 3 main components of any private cloud. The first and foremost being the hardware, the compute, storage, and networking gear involved in the physical infrastructure. The second component, the cloud infrastructure software, manages the deployment of the virtual machines within that environment. And the third component is the cloud management layer, which is in charge of the orchestration of the provisioning and configuration of all the resources within that private cloud. Question 4, what are some of the use cases I should start with in the private cloud? The majority of RightScale customers that go the private cloud route tend to use the new cloud for a few common use cases. The first and foremost is probably a test and development environment, particularly one that can be parameterized such that a standardized set of servers can be set up with a few button clicks. Some of our customers call this the self-service IT or the IT vending machine, and that allows their end users to stand up siloed environments very, very quickly. Other customers will use the private cloud for internal services, things like batch processing and job queuing, anything that deals with big data sets. That allows the entire data set to remain in-house and remove the cost and complexity of pushing that data around in the public domain. Generally speaking, customers will sort of dip their toe in the private cloud water, and once they realize it's nice and warm, they start to look for internal applications that they can move into that private cloud to take advantage of their own resources. If you have further questions about hybrid or private clouds, go to rightscale.com to speak to one of our cloud experts.